Well,
Good morning and good afternoon to our attendees. My name is Gabby Sosnowski and I'm a marketing associate with Utility. Today's webinar topic is real-time energy monitoring using our innovative HotDrop product line. If you have questions during today's webinar, feel free to submit them in the webinar's chat. We'll be answering questions after the main presentation. You can also email them to sales@vutility.com. Please note that the email address is Vutility with an I. Our first speaker today is our CEO, Matt Barber. Good morning, Matt.
good morning. Morning, everybody. And thank you for joining this webinar. I'm really excited to present the HotDrop product line to you, and let's move forward. So really quickly at a high level, I want to present, who Utility is and what we do and what our mission is. And we're a leading provider of high resolution, scalable data. And our mission is to optimize consumption and improve efficiencies. Our focus really is on providing timely, relevant, and accurate data at scale in places where it's difficult to get the data out, and empower people to understand their critical infrastructure and understand what's going on in their buildings so that they can make lasting change and that they can produce the results that they need to create efficiency and gain relevant and timely insights into their energy usage. From a high level, we have some really good partners and investors. Year and a half ago, we raised an A round of investment through Chevron, Constellation, and Cycle Capital. We have partnerships with Engie, Tether, American Tower, to name a few. The really cool thing about our growth trajectory is that our investors are also our partners. We have projects going on with Chevron and Constellation at this time as well. So one of the things that we are very excited about is our partnership model.
Join the meeting.
Our typical partners operate in the ESCO space. They're ESCOs, retail energy suppliers, IoT network operators, building management companies, and energy analytics providers. We do operate a true B2B2B model with the partners leading the way to their customers. We feel like that's our ability to empower and drive the data is best utilized when we have a world-class partner that knows their customers' needs and know the value that they want to drive to their customers. On a high level, a partner testimony, one of our partners that we are doing some really amazing things with is Logical Buildings, and their SVP of Technology Services. I love his quote. Says, and if you just pick out some keywords, and it's data in real time unlocks opportunities that are revenue generating. And that's a really big thing when we're talking about IoT, edge computing. Is there a revenue model and a value that you can drive to the customer? But it's also a revenue model that drives value to the business that's offering the solution. So high level look at our solution with our Utility Cloud as the center point. As you'll see a little bit later, we have our own sensor technology that can be utilized through private gateways or private backhaul networks or public networks. Our cloud is also structured to bring partner data in so that we can create contextual data. As you can see, the outputs, there's many outputs. We use APIs and webhooks with most of our partners because most of our partners are large, either analytics providers or they have their own dashboards, and just delivering the data that matters is our purpose. Gathering it at hard to reach places and delivering it through however the partner needs is actually the way that we want to serve the customer. Just to give some high level use cases of how our partners are utilizing the HotDrops. We've seen a lot of our partners using them for facility submetering, for M&V energy audits, monitoring critical equipment, and trying to understand that equipment first and baseline it, and then start to build a profile of what a fault detection or what an anomaly in the behavior looks like. Starting to work with people on peak demand reduction and sustainability goals. Phase balancing is also a large piece of how you want to lose, how people are using the technology. And then multi-utility dashboards, bringing in all the utilities for a building to have one place to see what's happening in real time in their buildings. And we're having fantastic results in these spaces. Our partners are expanding into existing customers and offering services that in the past that they couldn't have ever offered without the utility technology. I'd like to now transition and introduce our CTO, Michael Austin. He's going to give a little bit of a deeper dive into the technology and some of the how it works a little bit, and then some of the products that we are actually offering.
Thank you, Matt. It's a privilege to be with you here today. The mass production and market release of this new HotDrop series is kind of the culmination of my first 2 years at utility. So this is really exciting for me. This slide shows you the utility HotDrop series. And in the center, there are 5 devices that leverage all the same core technology. These devices we can measure in this series up to 5,000 amps. We offer a variety of window sizes to accommodate a wide range of applications, whether it's large or bundled cables, up to large bus bars. But unlike many of the competitive offerings, we are a non-intrusive meaning we don't have to cut through the panel to install conduits or install an outlet to power your device. And most importantly, these can be installed on a hot or active circuits. So this doesn't interrupt your building operations when you're installing. Installation is a snap. Literally, you're snapping the device over the active circuit, and there's no external power required. All of these connect to our utility cloud through the LoRaWAN and are very low power consumption to transmit. Our devices are long range, and they can cast their transmissions through multiple floors of commercial buildings and line of sight many miles. Our devices are secure with end-to-end encryption. And I want you to look on the very right side of the photo. That tiny device is our flagship, the 300 amp HotDrop. With this tiny 2-inch by 1-inch by 1/2-inch device, we replace about 3 to 6 competitor CT solutions, all the way from 20 amps up to 200 amps. So I'm going to focus on the flagship and describe the technology a little deeper on how we do this data set, how we collect the data. So I want to focus on this 300 amp because it's now disrupting solutions behind the meter. This device in less than 15 minutes reports more data than most meters do in a year. In 1 second, we take 3,300 samples, and then we transmit that energy data up to every minute. That means in a year, you're going to have over 500,000 transmissions, and that's based upon 10 trillion data samples. Plus, again, remember, there's no external power, so there's not wires that you can become short hazards in your panel, and it's non-intrusive. It just takes seconds. You scan that barcode, you snap it over the live wire, and it harvests the energy and begins transmitting. I have this little matrix on the right side, This represents a building's level monitoring. And on average, there's about 100 hot drops used to isolate circuits in the building. So when I have the column of the hot drops, this is 100 hot drops contrasted with AMI smart meters and analog meters. And when we're talking analog, these are the meters that deliver a one bill a month. You see your data usage once a month, so it's a very poor resolution. It's too late to make changes when you have that kind of resolution. Then the next competitive solution, the AMI meters, they transmit 15 minutes or up to 60-minute intervals if you request it. All of the meters are true RMS, root mean squared amps. But when you contrast the amount of building data points that you get in one year, your hot drops will generate over 52 million data points contrasted with the best AMI meters transmitting 35,000. So you have much higher resolution. We offer circuit level isolation, device isolation. You can do critical monitoring infrastructure, and you can't get that. So the takeaway on this slide, if you were to summarize it, is that the existing meters just don't cut it for the types of data sets you need to make real-time decisions. So going to the next slide, we discuss a few differentiators. I've discussed a few of them already. Self-powered, there's no batteries, so it's maintenance free, very cost effective, and very scalable. And when I talk about scale, there's a couple things that impact your scale. One is, can you install it in seconds or minutes and install literally hundreds of devices in a day? Can you get the resolution you need real time at a cost-effective manner? There are some cost-effective solutions out there, but they're very difficult to install and low resolution. There are some very expensive solutions out there. Smart breakers, connected equipment, those have to be essentially built with a new build and can't easily replace existing equipment. Our solution, which is in the lowest cost block, the green block, has very high resolution, high granularity, very scalable, and low cost. So the key takeaway with this is that the hot drops are ubiquitous. They can be installed in buildings, existing buildings, or new infrastructure. They are the only solution that can provide real-time circuit level data at a cost that makes it scalable. Now, go back one slide. At the very bottom of the slide, I wanted you to see, this is the HotDrop 300 hanging from a wire. The top of that hot drop is the current transformer. And the bottom, you see a little seam there, and then a little 1 inch by ½ inch device with an antenna. That little segment is what we call the utility core. That is the edge intelligence of the device, and it ends up being the edge intelligence for all of the HotDrop series, and it's now being used for lots of other IoT devices. So I'm going to really jump into one slide, and this will be my last slide, that talks about the core, the utility core. The utility core is a very powerful edge computer, and it allows us to monitor all of those different sensors. It makes the data wireless over the LoRa network. It's very portable and energy efficient. And when I talk about energy efficiency, I'm talking about less than milliamps power consumption to transmit at 15 or 1 minute intervals, a very, very small footprint. So it can go in behind the distribution panel very tightly. It's versatile. We have customers that have globally installed these, monitoring water feeds, monitoring natural gas in antiquated infrastructure. So we're making the old meter data wireless with this FCC approved module. And we can sell this module as an IoT device and make your data wireless. So I just wanted to introduce that We can do USB firmware updates on the device, and we can make configuration changes over the air, which makes it very powerful. It's very versatile. It's a durable, we use automotive grade components, and it's very reliable. So we're very proud of the core intelligence and how we're now making it usable for across different utilities. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Joel Bernston. Joel is our VP of Strategy and Partnerships, and we're excited to have him on board our team.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be here, everyone, and appreciate you joining today's webinar. I'm going to go over some of the aspects we've touched on, but I think it makes even more powerful when we can show you what the experience is from an installation perspective, particularly when you compare it to other technologies that you may be familiar with to monitor energy in real time. So we've mentioned it before, but our HotDrop installation is literally a snap. The CT clamp, it gets hung over the wire and it literally just snaps closed. The way that we onboard these devices is we start by scanning the QR code for the device. That helps it connect to our cloud. So our cloud knows and gateway knows to expect that device to communicate with it. Then it's placed over the wire, snapped closed, and then within a couple minutes, it's charged itself up. Once it's charged up, you'll actually see it in our installer app as live. You'll see the data coming through and you'll get visual confirmation that the installation was done correctly. With that app, you can actually install one HotDrop in seconds, or you can install hundreds in a day versus other solutions where you may spend an entire day installing one meter location due to the conduit and other installation complexities. This is just walking you through the app onboarding flow. It's contextual, so whoever's installing it, it's going to be very intuitive for them to understand what's going on. It guides the installer through the setup process, first asking them which floor or location is the HotDrop getting installed. It's very easy to add a location if it's not fully built out for where the installation is happening. Once you've selected where it's getting installed, you're picking the type of device that you're setting up. So this app is used to set up our gateway, our HotDrop, and we haven't gone over it, but we have another product, PulseDrop, which I'll touch on a future slide. You pick which device is getting installed. With the HotDrop, you then go and select the circuit. And once you have the circuit selected, you're able to define what type of device it's being connected to, what's actually loaded on that circuit. And then after the installation is complete, you will see it within a couple minutes. You'll get an update showing that it's been installed correctly. It's connected to our gateway, communicating to our cloud, and it's reporting data. One of the things, and Matt touched on it a little bit on an earlier slide talking about our cloud, is the hierarchical structure that you're able to create for the devices in your organization, so you can have those contextual relationships. So you understand this is happening in this zone, this floor, this panel, this device, and so on. And we're able to pull that all through our API in the back end to allow really unlimited a number of analytical solutions on the back end. We've touched on this as well, but I think it's worth repeating. LoRaWAN as our protocol that we communicate to our cloud through. It's really enabled us to deploy the HotDrop and our other solutions because of its low power requirements, because of its long range transmission capability and its ability to penetrate through a lot of the prevalent commercial and industrial building materials, as well as being a secure end-to-end encryption for the data for critical infrastructure. So we are in the gateway business as needed. We are not looking to sell gateways. We're looking to enable data. There are a number of public and private LoRaWAN networks already in existence, and we are happy to work with any existing infrastructure for LoRa. And then we provide our gateways as an option when that's not existing. And as Matt pointed out on the earlier slide, with our gateway installed, we are then enabling additional IoT sensors and other partner data to get pulled through into our cloud and be a single contextual output through our APIs. just real quickly we spent a lot of time talking about our HotDrop product. We have another product called PulseDrop, and between HotDrop and PulseDrop, we're able to monitor all of a building's utilities in one place. Our HotDrops are great for monitoring multi-phase loads as well as sub-metering individual circuits or devices. The PulseDrop is at the meter level for the facility, and it provides instant visibility into any dry pulse meter. So you see this in many water, gas, and electric meters. So with PulseDrop, we're able to bring those online as well and communicate their consumption in 15-minute intervals through our cloud. So as a facility manager working with a partner, you could have a dashboard that shows all of your energy consumption across all your utilities in real time. And we're actually at the final slide. I think we moved pretty quickly today. Just want to recap our HotDrop solution, the topic of today's webinar. HotDrops offer an easy to scale and simple to install sub-metering solution that reports energy usage in increments as frequently as once per minute via our APIs. The differentiator for us and what makes us create new product and service opportunities for facility managers and building management service companies is that we're able to do this with a non-invasive installation. Literally snaps onto a live wire. You don't have to interrupt building operations in order to get our product installed. So it's seamless and invisible to the facility as it's being operated. Without having wires or batteries to externally power it, we're able to really eliminate one of the biggest friction points besides upfront hardware costs is that installation and the cost and complexity of the installation. So without having those costs, it opens up a wide range of use cases that wouldn't have been viable previously. And our partners are discovering that, and that's really exciting to see when they come back to us with a new use case for how to use the data and solve a new problem for their partners and their customers. And then last, the LoRaWAN IoT network is a differentiator for us because it allows us to transmit over a long distance without requiring a ton of power. And that's been historically an issue. There's a lot of the circuits and panels are located in difficult to reach places in a building, and other transmission protocols have had hard times getting their signals out. So we've solved a number of complex problems to make a really simple to deploy solution, which we're excited to explore partnership opportunities with. I think that is it for our main presentation. We may have some questions in our email if we want to check that real quick. I don't see any emails in the chat or any questions in the chat yet, but feel free to submit your questions in the chat now if you had them. We'll give it a minute and check what we got in our email inbox as well.
Maybe you have some.
We have received a question for Michael. How much power does a HotDrop need to stay charged and connected?
That's a great question. When we're talking about the HotDrop 300, clearly up to 300 amps it can handle. When it's reading readings down to about 1.2 amps, it can still consistently transmit. So it has enough, it harvests enough power from the magnetic field that from a 1 amp, 1.2 amp line feed, that it can stay powered and continue transmitting every minute. If you're only transmitting, like some customers only want to transmit every 15 minutes, you can drop that to below sub 1 amp. But that's a great question.
It's worth probably also mentioning the USB on the actual core module, and we've had partners who had use cases where it was a very low energy draw, but it was critical infrastructure for them, and we actually can hardwire power in through that USB port as well. And you know, basically then you just need a punch out coming out of the panel to wire the power outlet to it. But
and then I'll actually add, in a lower amperage state, it doesn't mean that the HotDrop stops measuring. So down to what Austin, 600, 500 milliamps.
Even down to 200
It
milliamps.
continues to monitor the wire as it's powered. It just transmits less frequently to
Correct.
conserve power.
Correct.
So,
It goes in, so when it drops below the 1 to 1.2 amps, it goes into a low power mode,
Yep.
which still allows customers to receive their data. It's just not as frequently as 1 minute transmits.
thank you, Michael. Yeah.
The next question we will take is for Joel. Do you sell hot drops directly to facility owners or just through partners?
Great question. I would say a couple of years ago, we're doing a fair amount of direct business with facility owners and facility managers. We've made the shift to have a partner focus model, and that's really our focus. There's some really exciting things that a lot of companies are trying to do from the building management perspective. I think our greatest value and what we can do better than anyone else is provide real-time energy data. So we're looking to work with companies who would benefit from having that data as part of their solution, and not compete against those companies. So we do get some direct inquiries, and as best as we can, we try to match those to partners who are doing interesting things with our data.
Okay. The next question I have is for Joel again.
Okay.
Is there a minimum order quantity?
It's a great question. I think we have partners of all different scales. We want to understand what scale our partners have, so we always have product on hand to deliver for them. I think what makes it interesting is, you have a lot of different use cases and a lot of different scales of opportunities. So we have projects where there's, hundreds, if not thousands of measurement points that are needed. We have other ones where they're, under 20. And that's fine. So we work with projects of all scales. Our partners have projects of all different sizes, and we make it easy for our partners to scope and deploy a lot of different solutions. So there's not really a specific minimum. We want to work with our partners to understand what their overall volume is so we can be prepared for it. But we never say no to opportunities that our partners have if it fits our capabilities.
Thank you. Our next question is for Michael. How do you measure three-phase power?
That is a great question. So for three-phase power, you're combining 3 different phases, and that's done during the provisioning step. So you still need 3 separate hot drops. However, you'll notice in the provisioning app that when you attach a hot drop, you scan it, you're actually given the option to make it into a singular circuit. And so it's using the circuit feature on the provisioning app that you link the different hot drops together into one 2-phase or 3-phase circuit. And then at the back end, those hot drops, when their data sets come in, they're then accumulated together. So that's how we make 3-phase circuit monitoring. They're still each phase independently monitored, but they are provisioned as a singular circuit.
Thank you so much. The final question we will be taking today is for Joel.
Mhm.
How does my organization become a partner?
We love to entertain that question, obviously. If you reach out through the email address that's on the screen, sales@vutility.com, that's utility with an I. We are more than happy to set up some time with you to discuss your organization's needs, better understand your business and the solutions that you're providing, and walk you through that. We try to make it as easy as possible to work with us. And depending on your time frame, we can move as quickly as you need to make your projects happen. So look forward to having the opportunity to talk with you further about that. And thank you to everyone who's attended the webinar today. I know for many of you, had the opportunity to sign up and get a $15 Grubhub gift card. We'll be sending those out following today's webinar, and appreciate your attendance and interest in Utility's hot drop solutions. Thanks and have a great day.